What am I? This goes to the phone, so but it's probably gonna come up anyway. So
I'll use this one.
okay,
Because that's tied to that.
right. All right, is Mike here? If your Mike's here, can you raise your hand? All right, that concludes my mic check. Hi, I'm Mr. Hill. You're from? Okay, these are the jokes, folks. So welcome to our DC meeting. Please make sure that you have grabbed a copy of the handout that's up there with Mr. Only. One per family, or actually one per student who might be going on the trip, because at the very back of that packet is a form that will have to come into either myself or Mr. Only eventually, but we'll get to that. I want to welcome you guys here, and I want to say how excited I am for our 2027 Washington, D.C. trip. I actually should say Washington and Philly trip, because last year we added Philadelphia and it went fantastic. So we are going to try that again this year. So we're going to both Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In this presentation, we're going to go over the details of the trip, what the schedule will be like, what things we'll be seeing, costs, how you register for it. And then at the very end, if we have any questions, we can probably take a few questions and go from there. So without any further ado, let's begin. All right, so the dates for the trip. Can you guys see that okay up there? I know there might be a bit of a glare. Okay, all right. I'm going to send this out later too, so if there's a you want to review it later, I'm sending it out as an email as well. So the dates of the trip, April 21st through 24th of 2027. And that's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we get back early Saturday morning. And I mean like 6 a.m. early on Saturday morning. We do a drive overnight to come back. We'll be going to both Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. So that's 3 nights and 3 days. We'll be taking the bigger charter buses. We're not taking a school bus. That's 56 passengers, has a bathroom on board, spot for luggage underneath. There's DVD players. So for our younger people, DVDs are these round circle things that we used to watch movies on. But most people just watch whatever they want on their own. We'll be staying at the DoubleTree in Washington Dulles, which is about 40 minutes outside of town. But it's usually a pretty good commute to come in, and it's actually closer to where we're at on Thursday night. It's a really nice hotel. I've been very impressed with it so far, and it's got a nice setup for us. The trip includes 2 meals. One is on your own, and that is you bring something with you the morning of the trip. So we get here about 5 o'clock in the morning on that Wednesday. We try to get out the door by 5:30. You need to bring something with you to eat because we don't stop for breakfast that morning. We will stop for lunch, but we won't have anything for breakfast. You also get 3 lunches. Some of those are pre-purchased meals, so some of those will before you go on the trip, you order them on the app, you pick what you want, we pick it up along the way to save us some time. One of them is going to be where you have a $15 allowance and you get to go and pick what you want in Philadelphia, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we have 3 dinners that are included with it as well. I want to start off with some safety and logistics too, because I know for parents that going on a trip like this can be a little bit nerve-wracking because you're sending your student off for a long distance. There's a 24-hour emergency contact number that each student will be given. They have a lanyard from Student Adventures that has their name on it, so chaperones and staff can easily identify them. But then on the back, there is a number that they can call if they got separated or something happened, that they can call to get reconnected with the trip. Typically, I also give out my cell phone number to everyone so that they can contact me or text me if there's an issue on the trip that they need to get back in touch with us. We have planned rest stops about every 3 hours along the trip. We stop at the standard service plazas on the Ohio Turnpike and in Pennsylvania. So they're generally, clean, nice places for us to stop. There is a bathroom on the bus itself for emergencies, but we do request the students try not to use it at least on the way down, because whatever we deposit in there stays with us for the whole trip. So if they want to use as much as they want on the return home, that's fine, because we try to not make as many stops on the way home. But on the way down, we stop every 3 hours so everyone can use the bathroom. But of course, if there's an emergency, there is a bathroom on board for them to use it. All the drivers are certified DOT drivers through Cardinal Transportation. We get a bump driver partway through the journey. So the same bus driver who leaves with us at 5 in the morning isn't the same one who's with us at 9 p.m. at night that night. So we have a fresh driver who comes onto the bus about halfway, and then they are with us for the DC trip, the Philly trip, and then they, on the way back, they bump back off, and we get a driver about halfway through who takes us all the way back to Michigan. So everyone is rested and in compliance with all the rules and regulations. Overnight at the hotels, students do stay in the hotel room with 3 other students. So it's 4 to a room, and they get to pick their roommates through a process I have in February, where they do a request of like first, second, third, and fourth preferences. And wherever possible, I try to put people together with who they want, unless there's some sort of reason I think they might burn the place down. There's also occasions where if we have an odd number of people, I can't always make those rooms exactly 4 people, or if I have a group of 3 and one person over here, sometimes I got to put people together to make it work. So wherever possible, I try to put you with at least one person you requested, but my ideal situation is you're with everyone who you want to be. In the hotels overnight, there is hired security who comes in, who waits in the hallways. They do not enter the students' rooms. If there's an issue, they come and notify myself or Dr. Moore or one of the staff. They'll give me a report in the morning if a particular room was noisy or loud or doing something. If they're up playing Xbox they should be playing Xbox, or just making a lot of noise at 1 in the morning, they'll let me know that. If a student has an issue, like they're sick overnight, they can come out and tell the security, and they can come get me as well. None of the students' names are listed on the sheets for the security. They just have what room numbers they need to check and keep an eye on, and then they let me know about that in the morning. All boys and girls are separated to different parts of the hotel, and of course it's boys and boys rooms, girls and girls rooms. And the hotel, we've had really good luck. They are very accommodating to us. It's a very nice hotel, and it's very well located for getting the buses unloaded and loaded. So if you come in with 3 to 4 buses like we usually do, because Parker will stay there as well, you need a facility that's going to accommodate these large buses coming in, and they do a great job of that. We'll also have breakfast at that same hotel that we're staying at, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So Wednesday morning, we arrive here at 5 a.m., and our goal is to leave at 5:30 a.m. And it's my goal this year that we will leave at 5:30 a.m. and not 5:35 like we usually do. We head out, we start going, we stop at our first rest stop at 8:30 a.m. At about 12:30, we stop at a place called the Gateway Plaza, and we have a pre-ordered lunch that you'll get as part of your package. And we jump off the bus, we go use the restroom real quick, we pick up the whatever meal you selected. There's options for hamburgers, cheeseburgers, you can get chicken fingers, sandwiches. There's vegetarian and vegan options and stuff like that, and they're all set out for us, so we can kind of grab and go and keep on going down to DC. That night, we will be going to have dinner at the Western Market, which is it's got a bunch of different food court options, kind of like you might see at a 12 Oaks Mall or something like that, where you can pick from a variety of different places. And they will have something called a till card. Now, this is a debit card provided by Student Adventures, where they have a allowance that's put on it. For this meal, it's $15, and they can go and spend it for their meal at whatever location that they want. If they use more than $15, they would have to pay the difference. But we try to make it so each spot has an appropriate amount to cover most of the meals at that place. But if they're getting 5 cheeseburgers, it's not going to cover that. The other option for you as well, and Student Ventures will send this out to you after you register, is you can also register for a till debit card that would work the same way, but the additional benefit of that would be you as a parent have access to the card and can add your own money to the card in addition. So if you want your student to be able to buy souvenirs, but you don't want to send them with a bunch of cash, you can use that card to not only get the allowance money put onto it, but then also add your own money onto it for your student to use. That's totally optional. If you don't do that, the Student Adventures gives you a loaner card that we would just collect back at the end of the trip. Both options work pretty well, so it's just really your preference of how you'd want to do that. Later that night at 6:30 p.m., we will do the Illuminated DC tour. So that's going through to see all the major monuments in the National Mall. So we would go see the Lincoln Memorial, the Korean Memorial, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial, all that stuff. And we do it just as it starts getting to be dusk. And so things get darker and the lights come on, and it's really cool because you get to see all that at night. What's not on here is if we have time before this, we'll probably stop at the Smithsonian and go to the Smithsonian for a little while. I don't have it on here specifically because we found the last couple of years, traffic is an unknown variable on our way into DC. And some years we've had like 2 hours at the Smithsonian, other times we had 30 minutes because the way the traffic just kept us or held us up from getting into DC. So I kept that off there officially because I don't want anyone to be upset that we don't do it, but it might be an extra bonus that we can do as well, provided traffic works in our favor. All right, Thursday morning, we start off at 6:30 in the morning, and we'll have breakfast at the hotel. They set up one of their conference rooms for just Highlander Way. They have another one for Parker, and they have a buffet-style breakfast where you can get eggs, cereal, fruit, milk, toast, all the good stuff. It's really good food. We leave at 7:30 in the morning. We're going to go to our U.S. Capitol tour, hopefully at 9:40. We tried to request that early so that we know what time it is, but we can't request it this early out, but we're shooting for that morning. It may be plus or minus 10 or 20 minutes, usually is what the variable is on that. We'll actually go into the U.S. Capitol, go through the visitor section, and they give us a tour of the rotunda. They take us into Statuary Hall. They give us a tour of the crypt. It's a really cool tour to kind of see inside the Capitol building and just be in that space. Then we go to our group picture in front of the Capitol. You may have seen on that very first slide, that big picture of all the students. That's that group Capitol picture that we take. So that's out in front of the Capitol building, right in front of the Andrew Jackson Memorial. We'll get a big group class picture, and when you register, you'll have the option to sign up to purchase one of those. I believe they're about $20, unless they've changed the price for this year. And then at the very end, they usually send me a few extra copies too. So I sell those on a first come, first served basis if people want those at the end. But they're a really nice keepsake to keep from the trip. And I also save a copy that I put up on the wall. Well, it was at the old school, but I'm moving over here to the new school, where we can see all the previous years of students who went on the trip. We'll have lunch at the Pentagon City Mall, which is a mall right there in DC, right by the Pentagon, if you can imagine. It has really good food, lots of options there. They have all the fast food places you can think of. There's also really good souvenir shopping right in that area right there, so students could buy a DC hat, sweatshirt, all kinds of cool stuff. They have these really crazy hats there that you can buy too, which are always my favorite. After that, we'll be heading over we'll get a step-on guide who'll come onto the bus. They're going to give us a tour of the 9/11 Memorial there at the Pentagon, and we'll get to see the outside of the Pentagon as well. We'll go over next to Arlington National Cemetery, which is the national cemetery and has one of the largest one. It is the largest one in the country, and in the center is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where they keep the remains of several U.S. service people who have died in combat who can't be identified, and it's guarded by Army officers 24/7. One thing that we'll get to do there is take part in the wreath laying ceremony, where about every half hour, 45 minutes or so, they do a wreath laying as part of the changing of the guard. And 2 of our students from Highlander Way and 2 of our students from Parker will be able to actually lay the wreath at that ceremony. It's a very cool thing. You can look up videos of it online. It's a very powerful, it's once in a lifetime experience, really, because outside of going on your 8th grade trip, I mean, you can sign up through other organizations to go and do it, but it's probably the one time that students will have a chance to do it. We'll have an essay contest probably starting in January, where students can write in an essay about why they should do it. Sometimes they talk about how they have a service member in their family, or maybe they might have a family member who's actually buried at Arlington. And then I have our ELA teachers do a blind kind of reading of all of them, and they select a winner out of the group of people who submit that. That evening, we are going to be going over to a place called Smoky Glen Farm, which is outside of DC in Maryland. It's this really cool place where they have they're set up for chicken barbecues. They do massive chicken barbecues. So it's this delicious chicken barbecue with potato salad. They have these fantastic pies that they serve, like homemade pies. They're delicious. Plus, they have a whole playground that I feel like is made for middle schoolers. So they have a baseball field, they have putt-putt golf, they have swings, they have volleyball, they have all kinds of stuff going on. They also do like a dance party. So there's a DJ with music and stuff going on so people can hang out. Parker Middle School will be there with us. So if you have friends over at Parker, we'll be combined for that. So we're having a great meal, hanging out. They have unlimited like pop and soda and stuff like that the kids can drink. And then we head back to the hotel that night at about 9:30. We get back, and then the security again stays for that night, and then we're on to Friday. So Friday again, we start off at the hotel with breakfast. Same deal as the day before. We have the buffet breakfast. That's really good. We're going to depart at 7 a.m. to head over to Philadelphia, which is just a couple hour drive away. We'll head to the National Constitution Center, which is a large museum dedicated to the Constitution, has a great gift shop, has an awesome video, it's a video / live performance that we watch about the Constitution itself. It's really cool. It's an auditorium that's like 360 degrees that you sit on the outside. You have a performer who's in the center, and then you have like these projectors that go around you that they kind of trade off, just explaining different parts of the Constitution. I've never quite seen a presentation like that before, and it was really, really cool when we saw it last year. We'll then do some touring in and around Independence Hall. Independence Hall is kind of like the Capitol building where you have to request a time. You can't just walk up and go in. You have to have a preset time. So we have a little bit of a variable on exactly when we'll go in, and it may differ between our buses. Typically, Highlander Way takes about 3 buses, and we'll have like staggered times, so we're not all going in at the same time. One thing that's really cool that we get to do in Philadelphia, and I really loved this last year, is we are going over to the Reading Terminal Market for lunch. This is like the original market for Philadelphia. It doesn't have any chain restaurants in it or anything like that. It's got all kinds of like little shops and stuff like that, like local producers. It's in downtown Philly. It's very busy. There's lots of people. It's like all the people in Philly go and just use it every day. People are going in there back and forth, but they had fantastic food. I had Philly cheesesteak last time. It was great. All kinds of options. They had, just all kinds of like souvenir things, but they're not like cheesy things. They're like really homemade or authentic things that they have there. So that was a really cool thing. We'll actually walk from there to Independence Hall because they're only about 9 blocks away from each other. So we'll walk there and walk back for lunch. Oh, still on? Okay, good. We'll continue our guided walking tour of Philadelphia. That includes stopping to see the Liberty Bell. We'll also see the gravesite of Ben Franklin. We'll also tour his house. Last year, we got a really cool presentation of one of the park rangers was playing the glass harmonica, which was a musical instrument invented by Ben Franklin. And so we got like a kind of an impromptu little concert by her with that, which was really cool. We will go to dinner at the Shops at Liberty Place, which is it's right in downtown in one of the towers, and it's a mall with businesses at the top, but then there's another food court that we'd go to right there. So it'd be like food court, like Novi Mall that you would go to, pick your option of what you want, you get a food allowance on your till card, and then from there, we're gonna head over to the Rocky Steps, and we'll run up the Rocky Steps over at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. For our young people, Rocky's a movie. He's a boxer. He does this montage. It's great. Look it up. Watch it. It's great. And then we'll run up there. We'll see the statue. And then we head on back home overnight, and we'll get back early Saturday morning. And we'll all be very well rested and cheery the next morning. For the cost, for students who are staying in a quad room, so that's 4 to a room, it's $960. And that includes everything in the trip. So that's the food, the transportation, getting into everywhere, our tour guides, all of that. Adults, we need adult chaperones. We can't do this trip without you guys. So if you want to come along with us, that cost for you in a double room is $1,114. Now, if you have, if there's 4 adults who want to go, and we're like, you know what, we're all super best friends, we want to be in a quad room together, you can do that, and you can have the student rate, but you have to be in a quad room together. Adults who want to go, who just like, you know what, I'm too introverted, I don't want to be around people, I want my own room, that price goes up a little bit because you're doing a single room. That's $1,420, okay? There is a payment schedule that Student Adventures has. It's up there on the right. So on registration, there's $100 that you put down for your deposit. And then in October 23rd, is $220, December 4th, $220, January 8th, $220, and then February 19th, whatever balance you have remaining is due then. And that balance could be different between different people, because if you buy a capital photo, that price goes up. But also, there's an option for what's called the cancellation super protector. And there is a handout in your packet that gives some more details about that. But basically what it is, it's a guarantee in case you can't go on the trip. So for the students, it's $129. For the adults who are doing like the double room, it's $139. But what that does is if you cancel the trip, like you can't go for any reason, you get all your money back except for the cancellation protector cost. So let's say your student, the day before the trip, breaks their leg, which has happened, they get all their money back minus that fee. If they get kicked off the trip because they got in trouble or low grades, because we do have some academic requirements to be on the trip as well, it would cover you for that as well. So if you have any qualms about like, there could be something that comes up, I know one of the things is archery sometimes is right around that time too, and some people want to choose to go to archery instead of this. That gives you that option as well. So the cancellation super protector is a really good idea if you feel like there might be, if you really don't want to lose that money if something were to happen. To help out, we are going to have two fundraisers. They're both going to be Little Caesar pizza kits. We've done Century Resources in the past, but we had a lot of problems with them the last couple years, so we're switching over to try just the Little Caesar pizza kits. We'll do one here in the fall in November, and then we'll do another one in like January, February. If you're not familiar with them, we do the online version, so you go around and sell the kits. They get shipped directly to whoever buys them, so that makes things a little bit easier. We don't have to have like stacks of kits here in a freezer and getting them home with you within a certain amount of time. And they're pretty much all the same. Everyone makes $6 per kit that they sell, so you can easily calculate like, okay, if I want to, get $60 off my trip, I need to sell 10 of these, or whatever your goal might be. If you are in some sort of financial hardship, or you find that something happens throughout the year, I've had people call me and say like, when the parents has lost their job or something's happened, please contact me directly. We have some sources of financial assistance, so I usually handle that on a case-by-case basis, but please email me, keep everything confidential, and I know myself and Dr. Moore work really hard for everyone to be able to go on the trip who wants to go and who is eligible. We don't want money to be something that keeps a student from being able to participate, so please contact us and we can find ways to make that work. Dr. Moore, do you want to talk about requirements for like the behaviors and stuff like that, or do you want me to do it? Or all right, I don't want you to feel left out.
No, thank you. After mic check, I don't know, John. I can compete with that. So we do have some requirements. Academically, they have to have a D- or higher across the board. So if they fail a class, there is an appeal process. So let's say in quarter one, they get an F in history class. They have to write an appeal letter, kind of like what steps are we going to take to make sure for quarters 2, quarters 3, that we're not failing that class. How are we seeking help out? How are we solving a problem? Again, a skill set that they're going to need in DC if something goes wrong is the ability to solve a problem. However, after that first appeal, there's no second appeal option. So we do meet with all the kids. We try to remind them. We do grade checks. We do mid-quarter checks. Our counselors will meet. We'll try to put those supports in place prior to help those kids be successful. We also have some behavior expectations. If your student brings like a weapon or a drug to school, then they're going to get suspended. They are immediately off the trip. My reason behind all of this is if I can't trust them at 411 North Highlander Way, trusting them at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is an even infinitely higher risk for them. And I don't want to put them in a spot where something goes wrong and they're not away from you. There's only been one year where parents had to drive out to DC to pick up a kid. And our system works pretty well. Again, if they do things like vandalism, if they have persistent misbehavior, they're getting 10 reflection forms in a quarter and we have 15 referrals. Again, back to that trust piece. We have to be able to trust them away from you, and they need to show that to us here before we go to DC. Every year I hear the argument of like, no, they're going to be really good because you're going to be with their friends and it's going to be really fun. And every year I have to say no to that argument because they're also near their friends here and they also want to have a lot of fun here. So just don't want to put any kids or parents in a tough situations there. Speaking of like drugs and stuff like that, if you are a parent that is interested in going on the DC trip, but you can't put your vape at home and leave it there, I'm going to ask that you don't sign up because I can't have our parents doing behaviors that we don't allow our kids to have. It's kind of hypocritical of me if I say that kids, you can't do any of this, but we're going to let the adults walk around the Capitol hitting their vapes left, right, and center in an area that they can't be. So just a heads up on that. We did have an incident with that, and I had to basically remove a chaperone from the trip. So just keep that in the back of your head as we go through there. As Mr. Hill said as well, if there's any financial hardships, please let us know. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is I know the state passed a no cell phones in schools. However, on the DC trip, the kids are allowed to take their phones. In fact, we encourage it because we want them to take pictures of all of their different experiences. We want you to be able to be in contact with them. If something goes wrong, we want them to be able to get a hold of us. And the trip has an app so that we can send out communications at 6 o'clock in the morning to say, hey, it's time to wake up and go. So they can wear their watches, they can bring their phones. We do have some guidance of like, hey, when we're sitting in the Capitol listening to the tour guide speak, that's a moment where our phone needs to be put away. But just from a safety and security standpoint, they absolutely can have those as well.
Awesome, thank you, Dr. Moore. You did remind me of one other thing I wanted to talk about is that if your student is on any kind of prescription medications, we do have a system for that. When we get closer to the trip, I'll be sending out some communication about if you're on a prescription medication, we do need to have you fill out this form by your doctor and then bring medications the morning of the trip. And if they're non-prescription medications, they can carry them with them. So we'll go over more details about that when we get closer. If you have a student who has a particular concern, like they need to carry an EpiPen, or they're diabetic, or have maybe severe asthma or something like that, please come talk to me at some point and we can address that. We've had all those types of students on the trip before, and thankfully we've not had any issues. This last slide right here is actually the last page of your packet. On this page right here, there's a couple different things. You're going to be registering online for the trip if you want to go. But this I need to have back in person. So at the top, there's some information about your health carrier plan, and it's also the permission for emergency medical treatment. So in worst case scenario, if I had to take someone to the urgent care or the ER, this piece of paper is what allows me to do that. Without it, I have to get you down there to get them admitted. So it's actually required that I have this with me for the trip. You can fill this out after you've registered, then just pull it off the back of the packet and then bring it to whoever your history teacher is. So if you have Mr. Only, you give it to Mr. Only back there. If you have myself, you bring it to myself. And if we can maybe get them before the night before the trip, I would appreciate that. It would be a first, but I would definitely appreciate it. So last but not least, that right there is the QR code, and I'm realizing right now I didn't double check it before I came here, so I don't know if it's right, but it should be in your packet as well, so you can just scan that. That will take you to studentadventures.org. That is our travel company. We have been going with them for years. They are fantastic. I have never had a really big issue with them. They do Brighton's trips as well, and they are super, super helpful. Erin, who works at the first desk, will bend over backwards to help you with any situation. I have sent so many parents to her with unique situations that they've had, like, some parents need like a couple week extension on a payment or something like that. They're super accommodating of all of that. So they're great people to work with. They want you to come on this trip, and they work very hard to make that happen. So when you sign up, there is a code for Highlander Way that should be in your packet, but it's also up here. It's HWMS 2909. There's a different one for Parker, so if you have friends at Parker, make sure you don't get them switched up. We had someone end up registered for the Parker trip, and it was very confusing until we figured it out. But again, if you have any questions about it, let me know. I can help with sign-ups too. I know we're right at about 6 o'clock here for open house. Does anyone have any quick questions of anything I did not cover that you were dying to know? Yes. Yeah. Nope, we can do that. So if you are a chaperone on the trip and your own student is with you, we can put you in a room together. I cannot put any other people's students with you, even if they wanted to. And I only say that because I have had that requested before. So, yeah. Yes, sir. So there is. We have to wait to see how many people register for the trip, and that gives us our idea of how many people we have going. So for example, last year we had 4 buses. That meant we could take a lot more chaperones than we normally would. I anticipate this year we'll probably be back down to 3 buses. And then I go through however many chaperones are listed. I divide the guys and the girls because we need kind of an even number. Gentlemen, I'll let you know a little secret here. You have the advantage because far less men sign up than women for chaperoning. So you get a bit of an advantage if you want to go. But then I just put it into a random name picker and then pick whoever there is. Maybe, come back. There we go. Nope, we got it. But typically, we've been able to take most of the chaperones. But we do have requirements for chaperones. They have to actually chaperone the students. It's not a trip for them to just go around and hang out or do things. They actually have to, you'll have a group of kids that you need to kind of check in with and watch. And you'll get to do all the things that they do too. But sometimes I've had parents come to the trip who think it's more of a vacation than it is a school field trip. So I just want to make sure that's clear too. Yes, ma'am? Unfortunately, no. For liability reasons, Student Adventures does not allow that. Now, the only There is this isn't really an exception, but we don't really do anything about it. I have had parents drive down if their kid is doing the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier so that they can watch it and then they go back. But we can't have a separate people following around with the bus because logistically in DC and Philly, it's crazy with the traffic and everything like that. So it would just be really hard to try to coordinate together. Plus, there could be things on the bus that we need the chaperone for, like medications and things like that. Yes? So when you register as a chaperone, you actually don't put down any money until you're actually selected. So when you register, it'll give the option for student or chaperone. When you click chaperone, it'll register you, but it says payment pending or deposit pending. I can't remember how it's worded. But you don't pay anything unless you get an email from me saying, congratulations, you've been chosen. And then you can go in and put that payment in. So it costs you nothing to sign up and you can see if you get picked and then make a decision from there. And if a person decides they don't want to go, I just go to the next person on the list. Yes? So I try to put you with your own student, part of their chaperone group, but the way I set it up is I put the roommates together and they make up the small groups. So I'll put 2 rooms together. Where that gets tricky is if I have 2 parents chaperoning and their kids wanted to room together and they're both in that same room together, I then have a group that wants to have 2 chaperones, but I need the other chaperone over this other group where they don't have a kid. So sometimes I've had to break it up like that, where the other parents with the other group, but you're all on the same bus together. So you're not actually separated from it anyway, and your 2 groups can hang out the entire time. It's just on paper, this parent's in charge of these 8 people or 6 people, however big a group is, and then this one's in charge of these, make sure their meds are passed and things like that. Anything else? Oh, yeah, way back there.
What is the total number for students allowed to come and the total amount of chaperones that you pick?
So we could take the entire 8th grade class if they all signed up to go. Like Student Adventures will provide all the buses for us, but by September 25th, we're gonna make a call of like, okay, we have enough for 2 buses, 3 buses, 4 buses, and then that locks us into our spots. So if on September 25th, we have enough to fill all 3 buses and that's it, but not enough for a 4th bus, we will lock it off there and then it becomes a wait list at that point. So it's important if you are wanting to go, you sign up by September 25th to guarantee a spot. After that, I could still take you or at least put you on a waiting list, but I can't guarantee it.
And are the parents, like if it's a room with 2 parents and both were chosen as chaperones, is that the 1 cost or is it 2 times that amount? Like the 1,114 adult?
That's per parent.
Per parent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's double that.
That's per parent, correct. Yeah, each individual is that cost. All right, well, I know open house has already started, so if you have another question, please come up and see myself or Dr. Moore or Mr. Only, and we hope that you have a great night.
We got to wheel this into Philbin's room.
Okay.